Men, what kind of low-grade sexual harassment do you face on a daily basis? My bulge was a topic of open discussion between some of the women in the office at a previous job. The kicker is that one of the women was our HR and sexual assault/harassment reporter. The HR woman at my old job was caught with candid photos of guys' asses on her phone. Same thing happened to me. We got new uniforms at work and the female co-worker told me that my pants were tight, which I thought was just a genuine remark and was like, huh, really? I guess I'll look again, because this is my normal size. Maybe they're cut too slim. Thanks. She said, yes. You already had a big bulge and now I feel like it's actually in my face. She was smiling and laughing about it like that was a normal thing to say. I was immediately embarrassed, and turned around. We were working together, so I couldn't leave right away, and that was the most I could do, and upon doing so, she again hit me with "and you have a pretty big ass for a white boy too." Again laughing. So then I was uncomfortable standing that way as well, and basically just turned to the side. The only thing I said to it was yeah, I guess I'll get a bigger size. And we stood in awkward silence. Anytime I tell that story to other women they think it's hilarious. When I spin it around like, well, it's not really funny, what if that was some dude at work and he was talking about how tight your shirt was? And only then is it less funny. Edit, a little more context because I'm getting a disturbing amount of, she was just flirting, ever thought she might like you? Just tell her no, comments. She was well over twice my age, and a tenured employee with a lot of connections to management, and I had just started, comparatively. There was not going to be any sort of relationship, nor did we have a flirtatious dynamic at all, and I believe she said those things, simply because she knew she could get away with it, given her tenure over me, knowing I would be reluctant to make complaints that early on. Given our age gap, I highly doubt she thought it would actually lead anywhere. She just thought she could say that, because of the power she held over me as a new employee, end of story, which is also why it was difficult to make a big confrontation over it, and I just let it slide. Finally to the "well, you shouldn't have your pants that tight" comments. They really weren't tight, as I said they were my normal size. I asked other people purposefully following that, and everyone said they looked fine. It wasn't actually about the pants. Worked in bars and would constantly be groped by older women who thought it was funny. Also, as a Scottish piper, kilt lifting is a thing and honestly it needs to stop, grow up. I used to work for a catering company. We would often do catering in people's homes for events, weddings, big birthdays, whatnot, and when I was in charge I would often be the last person on shift packing up. Multiple times if the event was for older women they would become extremely creepy and pushy after everyone left, touching me, grabbing my arms, asking me if I wanted to stay the night or telling me how cute I am. One even said it's okay, she won't tell anyone. When I told my boss, who was a woman, I got told that I should consider it a compliment and that I should ask for a bigger tip next time. A female co-worker, I tell her if she was male, she would have been fired multiple times for her behavior. She just laughs and says yeah, probably. That's terrible. Sometimes I think people legitimately don't realize their behavior is unacceptable, but the fact that she's been given the opportunity to apologize and just admitted her behavior was wrong and not take it seriously is terrible. Not really low grade, but when I used to work as a lifeguard on the beach there was lots of non-consensual touching. The two that really stick out are the middle-aged woman who walked up to me like she had a question, then got a hold of my dick through my trunks because she wanted to see how big it was, and the 16-year-old girl who backed me into my stand and shoved a Skittle into my mouth with her tongue. Surprised you never got Wendy peppercorned. Jesus, that's horrid. My 55-year-old co-worker somewhat resembles Ursula from The Little Mermaid. That hasn't stopped her from asking me if I think she's pretty, asking me to take her home, and telling me she sprays like a watering can. Yes, really, edit, I should add that I'm 21, which I think makes it a lot weirder. I spray like a watering can, yeah, and you fucking look like one too. What is she going to do? Tell HR? Good luck to her explaining that original comment. Late here. 28M in an office predominantly with women. I'm 6 feet 3 inches and athletic. Especially the older ladies will touch my shoulders in a way that's not friendly and more to touch. I also receive pretty gnarly comments when I lost a little weight. They also say shit like men are the weaker sex or something like that. I blacked out at work from an irregular heart rhythm and they all said that's such a man thing. That doesn't even cover everything, but it is a start. I guess the men are dull treatment at my work. Especially if you're not a talkative, soft side leaning, flirty yes man type of guy. So far I'm apparently emotionally distant, cocky, selfish, also does typical guy things, emotionally distant, maybe, and for good reason. Most people are full of shit, and the more they know about you, the more they can twist back at you later. Cocky? No. I'm just mindful. Additionally, I carry myself high and don't let much bother me. Selfish? Not by a long shot. You just can't help anyone if you don't help yourself first. A house without a frame can't shelter someone in need. Typical guy things? Being efficient, simple and frugal are not guy things. Plenty of women I know get by without being waddy. It's not upsetting, but it is interesting. I recently became a father and was working on a hit TV series. A female producer who is best friends with the executive in charge thought it would be funny to grab my stomach and say, "Working on your dad bod already?" My daughter at that point was 1 week old. If I grabbed a woman's stomach and said she was fat or pregnant, I would have been fired. Well, I complained to make a point. She recently was promoted and I wasn't invited back after 5 seasons. So I sent the line-produced screen grabs of her apology and was told they'd look into it. This was over a year ago, and since she was promoted, I work plenty, but it's a gross business. Wow, that's infuriating. A woman just straight up grabbed my dick whilst I was working at a festival. My friend who knew her told me not to make scene as she was upper management. I still would. Screw it. I've had my arms groped, dick groped, and ass groped before. It's not as flattering or hot as you might think it is when you're not expecting it / in the mood, it just kinda creeps you out. I've also had a woman just grab me and plant a full-on open mouth kiss straight on me, then act offended when I pulled away and basically ran from her. Never seen or talked to her before that moment. Exactly. It's nice when you're so does it, but when strangers do it, it's uncomfortable as hell. Try dressing in traditional Scottish kilt in a city without some woman lifting it to see if you have underwear on. We all think it's funny until a guy does it to a woman. Was going to say the same thing, you'd think wearing a kilt was a bloody invitation. Some middle-aged guest did this when I was a kid at a wedding. I was 12. Thinking back on that, it's fucking disgusting. Male sexual harassment has not been taken seriously for at least as long as I've been alive, the mindset being that men always want it, so it can't be wrong to touch them, etc. The last couple of years though, I've been seeing public opinion move away from that viewpoint, with more and more people seeing it as unacceptable. I'm confident the kilt example will seem unbelievable in a generation or so. There's still a long way to go, but things are finally starting to change. I have been referred to HR for my voice being naturally too low. I was told I need to try and do more to be inclusive at the chat with HR about it. Lamau, you're different, be more inclusive. What in the actual fuck? Had a female work colleague sit on my lap during my lunch break asking for help, batting her eyelids. Now I wonder what would happen if I would have sat on her lap. This happened to a guy at my work. He's 50-year-old, married with 3 kids. We were having Friday drinks after work, at work. Liquor retailer, the girl was about 23 and very cute. She decided to sit in his lap, in front of everyone. He got up very quickly and left. His wife sometimes worked for us, and so did his sons. He did not invite this attention. She thought it was funny. I have some friends who get a pass on sitting on my lap. No sexual intent, no sexism, no drama. They just have a pass for doing so. I think it's somehow more normalized because sitting on someone's lap is sort of a thing in my country's public transport systems. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.